Discovering the elusive Takahe bird. The South Island Takahe is the world's largest rail, weighing up to 4 kilograms and measuring 63 centimeters in length. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about the elusive Takahe bird. If you are new here, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to get instant notifications of upcoming amazing videos. Let's get started. The Takahe is the rail family's largest living member. It has a long curved beak and is about the size of a turkey. The Takahe is an eye-catching bird with vibrant blue and green plumage. In the late 1940s, the South Island Takahe, a large flightless rail, made headlines. Takahe was thought to be extinct until Jeffrey Orville rediscovered the South Island species Porphyrio hochsteteri in the Fiordland's Murchison Mountains in 1948. The North Island Takahe, Porphyrio mantelli, is, however, extinct. The South Island Takahe is the world's largest rail, weighing up to 4 kilograms and measuring 63 centimeters in length. Several million years ago, its ancestors flew from Australia to New Zealand, where the Takahe became flightless due to a lack of ground predators. This brightly colored bird has brown, green, and navy plumage, a white undertail, and an orange-red bill and legs. South Island Takahe are still found in the Fiordland Mountains, and they have been introduced to predator-free island and fenced mainland sanctuaries. The ancestors of the taller but smaller North Island bird arrived in New Zealand later than those of the South Island bird. The North Island Takahe was possibly last seen in the Ruahine Range in the late 19th century. Both Takahe species are related to the Pikiko, Porphyrio melanotus, which arrived in New Zealand from Australia only a few hundred years ago and can still fly. There were once up to 9 endemic flightless rails in New Zealand. Only the South Island Takahe and the Weka have survived human colonization. In the summer, the remaining Takahe population in the Fiordland feeds on snow tussock shoots. They spend the winter in a nearby forest, eating rhizomes. People assume the Takahe preferred this harsh environment at 1,100 to 1,400 meters altitude. However, to survive on the low-nutrient foods available there, it must eat continuously for up to 19 hours per day and withstand snow and alpine temperatures. The alpine environment is now recognized as the Takahe's last refuge. The conditions were harsh enough to limit the number of introduced predators and competitors. Takahe bone remains show that they lived mostly on the edges of dense shrublands and dry forest around lowland swamps and rivers from Canterbury to Southland until recently. However, the surviving birds have most likely spent enough time in the high country to adapt to the sub-alpine conditions. Between October and December, a female Takahe lays 1 to 3 off-white eggs, often while snow is still on the ground. For a month, the male and female alternate incubating the eggs. Although juveniles can be bred in the first year, they frequently stay with their parent for up to 2 years, even helping them raise chicks. Takahe fiercely defend their breeding territories. Maury hunted the Takahe, which provided a substantial meal. It was considered rare by the 1840s. 4 birds were killed and mounted as museum specimens between 1850 and 1898, but the trail went cold after that, despite reports of sightings in the Fiordland wilderness. Since he was young, Jeffrey Orville had been fascinated by stories about the lost bird. He wandered through Fiordland, thinking Takahe might be found near Te Wanapani, an alpine lake now known as Lake Orville. He and 3 companions finally discovered the elusive bird on November 20th, 1948. Once common throughout the South Island, its population had shrunk to a few hundred. The Fiordland Takahe population was estimated to be 121 in 1982, a 40% decrease in a decade. This coincided with the rapid spread of feral deer, which wreaked havoc on the tussock grasses eaten by Takahe. As a result, scientists launched a conservation plan that increased the number of wild Fiordland Takahe to 171 by 2005. The South Island Takahe is a sedentary, flightless bird that lives in alpine grasslands. It is territorial and lives in grasslands until snow falls, when it migrates to the forest or scrub. It primarily consumes the leaves of the Kaihanakola tussocks and other alpine grass species, as well as grass, shoots, and insects. The South Island Takahe is frequently seen plucking a snowgrass stalk, taking it in one claw and eating only the soft lower parts, which appeared to be its favorite food, while discarding the rest. Overhunting, habitat loss, and introduced predators have all contributed to the near extinction of the formerly widespread South Island Takahe. The introduction of red deer represents a significant increase in food competition, while stoats serve as predators. The spread of the forest during the Pleistocene-Holocene epoch have contributed to habitat loss. Inbreeding depression is a significant problem because the species is K-selected. For example, long-lived, reproduce slowly, takes several years to mature, and has a large range that has drastically contracted in comparatively few generations. After facing extinction for a long time, South Island Takahe are now protected in Fiordland National Park, New Zealand's largest national park. However, since their reintroduction in 1948, the species has not made a sustained recovery in this habitat. Actually, the Takahe population was 400 before being reduced to 118 in 1982 due to competition from Fiordland domestic deer. Conservationists recognize the threat that deer pose to Takahe survival, and the national park now uses helicopter hunting to control deer. The Burwood Takahe Breeding Center was established in 1985 near Aotearoa. Initially, eggs collected from the nest were incubated and raised by hand. To avoid the birds becoming imprinted on humans, staff used handheld puppets that replayed sounds of adult contact calls while feeding and interacting with the chicks. Adult bird replicas were also placed in areas where the chicks slept. After 2011, these methods were no longer used. Human intervention has recently been required to maintain the Takahe breeding success, which is relatively low in the wild compared to other less threatened species. So methods such as removing infertile eggs from nests and captive rearing of chicks have been introduced to manage the Takahe population. Because of these management methods, the Fiordland Takahe population has a successful reproductive output. The number of chicks per pairing with infertile egg removal and captive rearing is 0.66 compared to 0.43 in regions with no breeding management. Long-term and short-term recovery strategies and goals established in the early 1980s are now well underway. The program to relocate South Island Takahe to predator-free island refuges, where the birds are also fed, began in 1984. Takahe are now found on 5 small islands: Maud, Mana, Kapiti, Tiritiri, Matangi, and Mototapu. Strictly controlling deer in the Murchison Mountains and other Takahe areas of Fiordland National Park has been an important management development. Deer numbers have decreased dramatically since the introduction of helicopter deer hunting, and alpine vegetation is now recovering from years of heavy browsing. Takahe breeding success and survival has increased as its habitat has improved. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new about the Takahe bird. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you next time.